This is Harry Judd for Boxing Social in Leeds for the Josh Warrington and Luis Alberto Lopez Open workout. Just finished. Crolla, you able to get in as well? Yeah, no, get in as you're there now. No, you gotta go?
You gotta fight them.
Here we go. Look, just a word on this fight here. It's a potential banana skin, but it's a huge test, I think, for Josh.
Massive test for Josh. Obviously, Barry knows Lopez a bit better than me, but I remember watching him against Isaac Lowe, and I think he's very... This isn't meant in a disrespectful way. He's a little bit erratic and certainly heavy-handed. And spoke to Josh just before, and I think he's saying all the right things, Josh, about sort of cleaning up after he's finished punching. You know, staying tight, staying small, making himself a hard target. But I certainly think the first 3 or 4 are going to be really interesting. He can't allow Lopez to have too much success for sure.
You've obviously spoken to Josh. I've not been able to get a word with him today. In terms of him, how's he feeling before Saturday night?
Well, he's been here before, hasn't he? I mean, he's been here, off a loss, and he's been here off a good run of wins, and he's coming off a good win. So, he's fine. He's a seasoned professional. He knows what he has to do, and as Ant was saying, the important thing for him is to stay safe. Keep his composure, keep his shape. Against an erratic puncher, and spot on what Ant says there. He jumps in from silly angles, but he gets success. And we've seen with Isaac Lowe, though Josh might be a stronger fighter than Isaac, he hits you anywhere, and he hurts you, and he can knock you down. But he fades in the middle of rounds, as we've seen that with Isaac Lowe, and I think that's the pace that Warrington can set. The physical, people don't underestimate how physically strong Josh Warrington is. He's not just a guy, and how hard he punches. He might not be a KO artist, but every punch is hard with him because he has forward momentum, and I think that might be a problem there for Lopez. Certainly down the stretch when he starts to lose. You've got a guy who's erratic anyway. When he starts to lose his shape even more, then the guy with the better structure and the better engine will prevail, and I think that's what we're going to see on Saturday night.
Crolla, if you've got to go. You can. Have you got to go? You're right to stay. Yeah, that's fine. Good to see you. No.
Thank you.
So I'll carry on with Barry. Yeah. But before we go back on to that fight, obviously you both were there on Friday night for Josh Kelly and Troy Williamson. I thought that performance by Josh Kelly was absolutely outstanding, Barry.
Yeah, it was great. It was a really it was a one-sided fight that was really entertaining, and and that's down to Josh Kelly, but also down to Troy Williamson because he didn't stop trying, and we're not shocked there because we know what you're going to get with Troy Williamson. He's going to give 100% every time. He probably will look back at the fight and think I could have been a little bit smarter in my attacks and changed some angles a few times, but to say it and to do it against a Josh Kelly who's on form like that, that's probably the best we've seen from Josh Kelly. Because let's forget about Let's remember Josh Kelly. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. This is a kid who, from the Olympics, they were saying he's going to be the one, him and Boatsy. Even if he didn't win a medal, he was going to be the one, from Rio, because he had a good looks and a great style. And he looked like he was going that way, and the wheels fell off against a really good fighter in Avanesian. And then he got questioned about his heart and desire, and also his commitment to boxing, which that was a genuine concern, the commitment. But his heart and desire was maybe a little bit harsh. What he showed... and he shut a few people up on Friday night. He was punch perfect. The movement with the feet, constantly moving, changed direction. Every time Williamson got close to him, he changed direction, and then Williamson had to reset. And Josh, I didn't say he hurt Williamson, but he rocked him a few times as well. I thought it was the best performance that we could have got from him on Friday.
It was a lot of spite in his punches as well, and there was a lot of charisma. He was an entertainer, I say, on Friday night, and Adam Booth reiterated that when I spoke to him after the fight. But the thing when I spoke to Josh Kelly in his change room after the fight was people questioned his heart, and he got really emotional because that fight meant a lot to him, not only because it's the British title, but it's a fight where now he can look forward to those bigger nights. But if he lost, I mean, where was he going to go? Yeah,
and I certainly think Channel 5 sort of put a lot of weight that he's going to be their flagship fighter going forward, and that might look like that's a good idea now. But obviously, if it fails, then they they lose interest. And he's still a good fighter, but where does he want to go? And also, he has success outside of boxing, got successful business outside of boxing. Maybe he walks away, and that's how we've seen that time and time again. With no disrespect, better fighters than him. But he performed. He performed against a good fighter, and he made a good fighter who can be really effective and effective. And that's a sign of a real talent. He was good. And again, like I said, it was a one-sided fight that's really entertaining, and that shows the ability. And so, yeah, we're always going to worry about his power moving up to world level, and that's a genuine concern at that weight. Not like he's a featherweight like me. I had no power, but at my weight, you can get away with it a little bit more. At bigger weights, it's harder. That's going to be an issue. But I think he punches hard enough to keep you from walking through him. And with his movement and his IQ, that might just be enough,
We were unable to get any answer in terms of from Adam Booth and from Josh Kelly because we wanted to celebrate that win. It was a big moment for him in that fight. It was a massive, massive fight. No one mentioned anything about what is next, but what type of fights do you want to see him go into?
Well, Josh Kelly, I wouldn't rush him too soon. I think the eagerness now, especially in this generation, is you beat a domestic fighter for a domestic, who might be better than that, but right now it's a domestic level. And then you talk about world titles straight away. And I understand that because everyone does that, and it's a shortcut. But I don't think he needs that. He's still young enough. And we've seen him against Avanesian, who's a good fighter, boxing for a world title now against maybe the best welterweight on the planet, him or Errol Spence with Terence Crawford, of course. But still, he goes in a massive underdog, Avanesian, and if he were to win, it'd be one of the biggest upsets in boxing. And that's the truth. So let's say he's not that level, Avanesian. I know it's a weight below, but Josh Kelly got beat by him and quite conclusively. So let's realise where he is right now, and he can get beyond that level. But I would take a smaller approach. I wouldn't get too ambitious. Another British title defence, and then maybe even another one. Then go to European level, and then move up from that. I think there's loads of fights. He's in a really good weight, but at world level, it's an exceptionally good weight.
I think that's what I said to him, and you've got to look at his promoters, and that's the people you've got to get onto because you look at some fighters, and I'll use Adam Azim as an example. It seems that their promotional company, that their team are not going to go the British route. They're going to fast track him, and unfortunately, I don't know if that's the right sort of way to go for it.
I would say with Adam Azim, I use this word with him only. I would let his development be organic. I don't think you can really. He is a super talent, and he might end up being no good in the end. I'm no good. That's impossible. He might end up getting the heights, but he looks like such a super talent that I would just skip levels with him. I'm not saying go to world level tomorrow, but I mean he can skip where he is. I think the Ryland Charlton fight, which for anyone else at that level is a too much of a hard test. I always felt, and I said this before the fight, he'd already gone beyond that level. That's how good he's that good at, unfortunately. So I think with him it's different. I understand why they're getting carried away. Josh Kelly is a real good talent, and we were getting carried away with him, but different to Azim. He's still a talent. He's still a real talented kid. He can still go all the way, Kelly, but I wouldn't go too fast too soon. I think I agree with you. I wouldn't go too fast too soon, but you can still step him up. And if they bypass the British level, go to the European level now, I'd say fair enough. But I think he can stay here for a little bit and enjoy it. You learn from it, and you learn some more in the gym, and you go again, and you get comfortable at the weight. It's still a relatively new weight for him, where I think he looked better, but there's still weight to cut. I think he can get more strength in himself. But I think listen, the game's not up for him yet. We're talking about world honours. They tend to think he's not going to get to that level. I think I think there's still a really good chance he can get there.
It's a lot of pressure though with Azim, though, isn't it? It's a lot of pressure with someone that high profile now.
Sorry, I went back on the Josh Kelly for that.
Oh no, but Josh Kelly, I see. I'd like for him to defend it and perhaps win it outright. I think the Europeans obviously a good step as well. But again, it's up to his team, and not for me to make those sort of decisions. But I was just so happy for him because you sort of get an understanding of what he's been through. That Avanesian fight was a real big mark on his career and his personal life and all the rest of it, and Saturday night was a huge triumph for him. But that fight was fantastic, brilliant, great to attend that fight in Newcastle. Saturday night though, different sort of story. Barry, what did you make of the Tyson Fury-Chisora fight?
Yeah, we've seen the fight before, and we said this. Everyone said this before, so I'm going over all ground. It was predictable what was going to happen, and what everyone thought was going to happen within the boxing world, it happened. But I had no problem with the fight itself. I said this. I had no problem with the fight. I know Derek. He should have retired years ago. We keep saying the same thing. He doesn't want to, and if no one can stop him, let him carry on. And it's all that money on the table. Who am I to say that's the wrong thing to do? And I don't really care what he does. But the fight's no issue. He just beat Kubrat Pulev, who's fringe top 15 in the world. So as a voluntary defence, it's fine. I had an issue with the pay-per-view. And I don't blame anyone, because you can't blame BT, because why wouldn't they? Because it's just...
I don't blame Frank either. People are going to buy it.
Well, he sold 60,000 people in a freezing cold stadium in December. So, that just shows the pulling power, and they were right to do it, because they made the money. And I'm probably, the pay-per-view probably did well. I don't know, time will tell with that, but it probably did. But, I mean, I think for a fight like that, which is so predictable, and then they should take a hit on the money. And then no one's going to do that. But I don't think it's fair to ask people to pay for stuff. But I'm not digging out any promoter, because if that was on Matchroom,
They do it exactly the same.
and if Wasserman could do it, and they would have done it. Everyone, and
You could do it, Barry. You'd be up there as well.
I would charge pay-per-view for people wiping their nose if I get my no, we all would. Everyone wants to make a living. I understand that, but still, no. For all my personal feelings, I don't think it was worthy of paying for it. But it was, and Tyson Fury's a maverick, and he's so good. And Frank Warren made a really good point. He said, early on when this fight was being criticised, and he knew what he was doing, and he knew he was always going to have that. But he said, but he's better than everyone, Tyson Fury. And he got a point. He's better than whoever he's up against. He's a favourite. He never goes into a fight an underdog ever again. I mean, unless he gets beat, and I can't see that happening anytime soon. The only fight that's remotely challenging for him. Wilder's always going to be a challenge because he has that raw power. Even Joshua's always a risk because he got.
Is it the Joyce fight you're on about? That's no.
The Joyce fight's always a risk again because Joyce is just tremendously strong. The Usyk fight's is the real fight that makes him think because Usyk is clever. But again, he has such a size disadvantage, and Fury can box so many different ways if he needs to. That again, you don't see how he can really get over the line against him. So unless a Jalalov maybe, if I pronounce his name right, but that's going to take a couple of years before he gets there. He might be the one. Jared Anderson looks really talented, but is he might be just again too small at 6'4", too small at 6'4". We're seeing that nowadays. You know what I mean? It's crazy. But Tyson's a maverick, and he's very good. He's not always entertaining to watch. I mean, he's in the ring because he does what he has to do. But he's brilliant.
It's a bit odd. No one mentioning Joshua's name at all last week. It was odd. Well, yeah, other than you this week now.
Yeah,
but no, it's odd. Normally we're gunning for that AJ Fury fight, but it seems to a lot of people's mind that fight's dead in the water, really.
Well, I don't think. I would say about, and I used Fury-Chisora for this a long time ago. You can recycle a heavyweight till his legs fall off. And I said this about Fury-Chisora is a prime example of that because literally he loses, he comes back, he had 13 losses, and he's still and he's had loads of and he's had better wins than losses. And he comes, maybe not, but he comes back and he reinvents himself and he pushes forward. Heavyweight division, you can always earn a few quid. Joshua's still a good fighter. People are just like, he's gone from hero to villain. I don't understand why. And Tyson's gone from villain to hero, and I can see why that is, but I can't see why all the hate is for Joshua. Even before that mad speech he had, that was just one of those things off the cuff. He's a good fighter still.
Amazing record.
He's not good enough to beat Fury, and that's just something he has to accept. In that division, every punch he can get, if he can get in range and hit you, he can knock you out. But the confidence is not quite. Something seems different about his mental makeup than it was before. And I don't know what that is, and if it's real or whether he needs something, but it seems like there's something lacking. But I still always thought that Fury was the better fighter anyway. That's the truth. That's unfortunately just how it is. That's you want to be the best you can be, but the best you can be sometimes is the best in the world, like it was for him for a while. Now the best Joshua he can be still won't be the best boxer on the planet at that weight because Tyson Fury's around. That's just how it is. But he can still come back and have a good career. He hasn't got miles on the clock, and he hasn't. He got beat by a guy who's just too, again, Usyk is too good for him. That's just life. People are getting carried away with it. We can say we applaud Chisora for perseverance, but then tell Andy Joshua he wants to go pack it in now. Like it's just ridiculous. I don't understand. One rule for one rule for all.
Yeah, and I think who Joshua's fought back to back. I thought was incredible in terms of his record. It could still be argued as the best, I'd say, back to back heavyweight fights.
Well, he's had I don't know about that. He's had 13 world title successive world title fights. That's quite phenomenal. That's a really good run. And he's boxed almost every the best fighters in his era, except for the two best in his era. That's the difference. So now Fury has boxed better fighters, but he's boxed the two. Yes. No. So that's the thing. So his who's got the best resume? Well, in volume, it's AJ, of course. Thanks, and I forgot his name.
That's all fine.
But in quality, you have to say it's Tyson Fury, unfortunately. So that it's what you like in anything in boxing. It's what you like.
Finally, back on this fight here. If Josh Warrington is successful, as hopefully he is for us, there's lots of fights. It's a stacked out division. That Lee Wood fight for me, I know he wants to go out to the States and fight Santa Cruz. I know that's the fight on his list, but that Lee Wood fight, I don't know, maybe it's the atmosphere, maybe because it's a massive fight in the UK, but that's the fight I'm really wanting.
And more importantly, forget about all the outside, all the trimmings. Stylistically, it's a great fight. It could not disappoint. Could they go head to head? Wood's got to go. Wood's got to put it on Josh Warrington. He's got to feel that Lara show the vulnerability. And obviously he's had his jaw broken now, and that might sometimes they don't always heal as good as they're always not like they are brand new. So there might be an issue there. So he has to put it on him. And Warrington is probably the better boxer of the two, I would feel, and more experience. And so it's a great fight. So let's have that in Vegas. That's not for them, that's for us. We all want to go to Vegas. We all want to see that fight.
On a holiday.
We all want to go to working in Vegas, especially. We all want to work in Vegas, but we want to see that fight. But that fight in whether it be Leeds, Ellen Road, or the City Ground in Nottingham would be fantastic, yeah.
And also, Ebony Bridges back on the card as well. Made her name sort of in the UK here. Massive fans. That's a tough fight as well. It's a lot of beef in that fight. I spoke to Mark Tibbs before. She's completely concentrated on this fight, but I think that might be. Well, I don't know about fight of the night, but it's going to be a big fight.
Yeah, there's a lot. No, there seems like a lot of bad blood, but it seems only one end. According to Emily Bridges, it's a good fight. And I think stylistically, and again, talk about styles. Styles make fights. You've got one girl who's going to come forward. You've got the much taller fighter who likes to be aggressive but can box a bit. So it's a good fight. It'll be a good entertaining scrap.
Barry, Logo, head off. Thanks for your time, mate.